Roll the clip.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. Yeah, you're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people.
You don't have the cards.
World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
Every risk game I've ever played. Every single one. This is how it always ends. I mean, you know, there's a betrayal of some sort, possibly cheating allegations. Someone put an extra army on, miscounted a roll, snuck a playing card, hit a playing card on the floor, potentially. Oh boy, I had that happen before too. Controversial. Is it really a risk game unless someone flips over the board and storms off, or just knocks all the pieces off? Like, I don't know. I don't think it is a risk game unless someone just throws the board, knocks it off, and heads on. I can't get over the picture. I just think this is so funny. Because this, I kind of like, as soon as I saw this, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it felt like. It was like people arguing over a risk game. You're going to start World War III. He might. Ground troops. U.S. ground troops is World War III. I got news for everyone. If you are out there on the internet and you say, we need to put U.S. troops into this war, you want the end of the world. Just know that. Because that means we will be at war with Russia. Something we have been trying to avoid for 80 years at this point. Know your history. The more you know your memes. Should we do it one more time? I'm going to do it one more time. It's so funny.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards.
I'm not playing cards.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. You're right now not in a very good position.
It's so good. Let's do the full clip.
One more question.
I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried.
I'm going to break this down. I'll pause it at important parts, and we'll like literally talk about things in history.
Words mattered more than the president of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014.
All right, let's stop. Let's stop it. Let's stop it right there. We have our first semi-ish lie, maybe. It's always been very hazy when officially there were Russian troops in Ukraine and Crimea. He's right on Crimea. There were definitely Russian troops who took over Crimea in like a stealth move. That 100% happened. The Eastern republics is where things get, like Luhansk and Donetsk, that's where things get a little bit murkier because they're largely Russian-speaking regions and were before this war and even this conflict that started in 2014 that they're going to start talking about here. Maidan coup turned into a rebellion in the East. It's Russian influenced. You can definitely say that. They influenced the rebellion. They probably were funding and giving arms to the populace that were rebelling. The Ukrainian government did, it's not like they... they were shelling those areas. That's 100%. We know that, but let's move on. Okay, so 2014, they weren't quite at war with Russia yet. They were fighting a rebellion in the east.
During a lot of years, I'm
Directly
not
at
speaking
war.
about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2015.
2014.
Yeah. So
Not
he
important.
I
killed-
was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly
but-
right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with
Bilateral.
him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron, and
No,
Merkel. We
no,
signed
no,
the
no, no,
ceasefire.
no. This is where it's wrong. All right, let's go back here. So he
Nobody
says,
stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation.
Wait for
and
it.
We signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal.
so I signed with him the deal, and then he points to Trump. Notice that, okay?
I signed with him, Macron, and
So does he mean Trump right there? When he points at him, that makes me think I signed with him the deal. He's talking about President Trump. Survey says President Trump was not at this ceasefire. This is what they're talking about. Here, I'll zoom in. This is BBC. December 10th, 2019. Plain as day. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you see President Trump at this table? I'll wait. We have Angela Merkel. She was German chancellor. We know President Putin. Emmanuel Macron, Prime Minister of France, and a very young-looking Volodymyr Zelensky. I mean, wow, look at that. He looks like a kid in that photo. Compared to now, he's aged a bit. We can scroll through the article. He wasn't there. Trump wasn't involved in this. There's no mention. Control F. Trump. Here is 0 results. Okay, so let's move on then. So Zelensky, if he's referring to President Trump in that moment, is lying. He's not being accurate. He wasn't there. I just showed you the article. President Trump wasn't there. All right, let's move on.
Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire.
Buddy.
He killed our people.
Buddy, that's your problem for trusting. You're going to trust Macron and Merkel? Really? The Germans and the French? That might get that might be a little too spicy. That's a historical reference. I guess France has always been a fairly trustworthy ally, so I'll strike that. But Germany, I mean, they've had their issues, right?
And he didn't exchange
Germany also tried to invade France twice.
prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't.
Like in the past, what, 150 years, right? Yeah, twice. Maybe more than that, honestly, if we go back 150 years.
Didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy?
But now they're
you're
best buds.
speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
All right, so I kind of talked over the back of that. He's talking about the ceasefire. Yeah, let's go back.
Till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, And we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your.
Already getting spicy. So he said, basically, he's saying, now again, it got confusing there because who is he talking about when he says he, like, that 2019 he was there and he like points to President Trump? That makes me think he's trying to implicate that President Trump was involved in that deal, which he wasn't. We just showed that on the show.
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscription.
Which is it's a good point. He really
manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for.
So 2 good points by Vice President Vance here. To do it in front of the media is bad form. To like challenge the they're your hosts for one. Now, I will say President Trump did not set the tone off right because he did. Yeah, we should probably start. We'll give all the background here. So this is when Zelensky arrived to the White House yesterday. It's important because you got to know how the tone was set for this whole thing.
Pretty close. How are you? Pretty shut.
He's all dressed up today.
President Trump, what's your message to Vladimir Putin, sir? President Trump.
He's all dressed up today. He's all dressed up today. He wore his best. I think that's a joke because he looks like he's a commando or a general, which I mean, part of me doesn't have a problem with him dressing like that, to be honest with you, because he is the leader of a nation at war right now. You got to kind of look the part. You know what I mean? If you don't think for a second Trump wouldn't be dressed up like a military general if we were in like a major active war right now, I think you're crazy, okay? He would absolutely be going for that. Absolutely. Why wouldn't you? So that's how the tone gets set. Zelensky shows up and Trump just kind of roasts him off the bat like, oh, you didn't wear a suit? There's a lot of people who have problems with Zelensky not wearing a suit to these conferences and meetings. I don't know. Part of me kind of sees that like it's official. You're going to the Oval Office. You're trying to make a deal, ceasefire here. But like this has been, you got to stay on brand, right? 2025 is all about staying on brand. This is his brand. Like this is 100% his brand, right? So you got to stay on brand, and this is going to be a big deal. And possibly this was a planned little schism spat. Because I'll show some evidence of that too. Lots of coordinated responses from European leaders afterwards. Now, I mean, and they could all just have the same PR agent. Back to the video, though. Where are we at? Nope, that's the funny one. There we go. Roll it.
Tried to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's
problems bringing people into the military? Does Ukraine have problems bringing people into the military? Let's watch. This is a fair warning. Next, there is violence in the next clip. This is what forced conscription looks like, ladies and gents.
Ну, это просто пипец. Ти що хочеш? Я не затриманий.
Now, the fun thing with the internet is those could just be like Russian conscripts too, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously they're trying to pass that out. I've seen a couple other videos of stuff like that. I know they've had forced conscription for a long time, for like 2 years, I think at this point. 18 to 65 or something crazy. 45? 18 to 45, I think. A lot of anyone who could at the start of the war left, including men. They just left. If you could afford to do it, and you weren't like super patriotic, right? If you were patriotic, you were going to stay and fight. But if you weren't, you left, and you were smart because you knew this was coming, and you could afford to. And I don't blame them. Do you want to get fed to the Russian slaughter? I mean, if you're real smart, you realize that your nation is a client state of the U.S. and is primarily used for money laundering and resource extraction, and that they don't really care if you guys win or lose. They're just going to make a ton of money laundering money through you guys with these military aid. Hunter Biden. Burisma. Okay, back to this. Okay, so this is where it really like pops off, all right? And everything's fine up until President Zelensky says one thing, and I'll point that out.
To the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country.
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems.
In my
Even
country,
you,
I have
nice
problems.
ocean and don't feel now. But
Oh.
you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
you will
good.
feel influenced.
We're going to feel
I'm-
very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have the cards right now. With us, you start
I'm
having
not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're
you-
gambling with World War
What do you-
III.
what do you
You're
think about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country.
For
This
Zelensky
country.
to
That's
with-
bad.
for Zelensky to just kind of roll his eyes there and be like, no, I'm not. Like, yeah, man, come on. You kind of are. You're gambling with World War III with the U.S. ground troops,
Back to you. Far more than a lot of people.
which is that's
say.
what he wants for the mineral deal. In case you don't know that, that's like what he showed up to the White House with yesterday. From what I've read, that was what like his first request was we need ground troops for this, and they were like, no.
They should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the
I'm gonna cut off JD Vance here for a second. He at the very start, Zelensky does say thank you to Trump and Vance.
opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country is
Can I-
in big
can I-
trouble.
can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance.
I feel
of
kinda
coming
bad
out
for
okay
Zelensky
because
here.
of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks.
You have
Because here's the deal. He's got two guns to his head, Zelensky. There's one, right? This one. Other hand. Yeah, that one. There's one gun. And the other gun is, I would think, the Ukrainian military, because they don't want to, I don't think they want to just give up to Russia. I'm sure they're patriotic. You know, if they are, there's some evidence that maybe there's a lot of neo-Nazis in the Ukrainian military. And from what I've read, they're very patriotic and they don't want to lay down ever to Russia. They're willing to fight it out to the last man. So I think Zelensky has two guns to his head. I think he's got one here and I think he has one back home. So he's between a rock and a hard place, truly.
In this cabinet,
you haven't been allowed.
In this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment, and your men are brave, but they had to use our military. If you didn't have our military equipment,
Touched him there.
If you didn't have our military
You see that?
this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful.
You have to be
You don't have the
thankful.
cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers. Listen,
Don't
you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look,
It's rough. He starts
you
mocking
can
him.
get a ceasefire right now. I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you what,
that wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
And I gave
Again, I mean, I can bring up the article again, but two old men yelling at each other who don't know what they're talking about. I mean, do you see any American president in this photo? President Biden, President Trump, President Obama, I mean, any of them? No. So regarding the 2019 ceasefire, we had nothing to do with that. Moving on.
gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins.
I have no idea what he's talking about there with the
You gotta be
Obama
more
gave
thankful.
sheets.
Because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you
And
don't
you can
have
tell
any
Zelensky
cards.
at this point, it just wants to leave his body.
It's going to be a tough deal to make because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What
Good
if
talk.
Russia-
A good question. What happens if they break it?
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know.
Oh,
They broke it with
gaslighting.
Biden, because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton.
What do you think?
Adam Schiff. It was a.
What do you think
Democrats.
Zelensky's thinking about right now? He's like, oh my, this is not, this isn't good. This is not good. That's the look on his face. The look on his face is just like, what just
Yeah.
happened?
And
He
had
doesn't
to
even
go
know what
through that.
happened.
And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it.
He's
He
like
was
shell-shocked.
accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's
He's thinking about his comedian
bathroom.
career.
It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then
What?
they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But
He
didn't
doesn't
break
know.
them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy.
Be a tough guy.
I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or
What was? Hold on a second, because I missed the part where
the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them.
Okay, so another important point. President Zelensky, just then, his lips move. He, according to the internet, calls JD Vance a bitch. 42. So let's go back, like right there. Watch Zelensky and listen. You'll hear him. Here, I'll crank it.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour,
he said
Mr.
suka
President.
something.
Do you
What does suka mean? Oh, okay, here we go.
Сучий син. Сучий син.
Suche sin.
Сучий син. Сучий син.
Go back. Go back. Did he say it? Kind of sounded like he did.
Say what problems we have.
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour.
Maybe it's close. Maybe he says something. I would maybe like I can't believe this. Let's do that real quick. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he says. I can't believe this in Russian or Ukrainian.
Я не можу в це повірити.
That's like 7 words. That's way too long.
Я не можу в це повірити.
What about this is bullshit?
Це фігня.
That sounds a lot closer.
Це фігня.
What problems we have.
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President.
That's closer.
Do you disagree
That's a lot closer. Say Finya.
Bringing people into your military, and do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems.
Well, he's fine.
Even you, but you have nice ocean. And
well,
don't
he said
feel
that.
now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying
He's
to solve a
still
problem.
fine
Don't
in
tell
my
us
opinion.
what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very
Still
strong.
fine.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about
it. From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. Your gambling is this: he might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened, but he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy.
I don't have the vid up. Whoopsie. Here we go.
And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we've seen enough, my friend Donnie. Crazy chaos. We back. Afternoon coffee, second half of the show today. We're tying it all together. We did a breakdown. That was a long breakdown. I enjoyed it, honestly, quite a bit. Chaos. Obviously, the European Union Folks got a little jumpy with everything that happened yesterday. And, there was I think they're going to have a summit on Sunday because, or Monday, because why cancel the weekend plans when World War III might drop? He was on Fox News last night. So let's run that clip and just show you some more Zelensky.
This is filling, and that's why I do not want to lose our great partners at the United States. And
also credit him for sticking around and going on the Fox News appearance, right? That's kind of crazy. He could have canceled that, but I mean, good for him for sticking around and doing it.
I just said that it's not the first time. I said it by phone, and we had some other conversations, and we had in Munich meetings, and I said, please, be correct. I want to be very polite. I mean this, be correct with this number. When you say about the number, each person is important. When you say about 1 million of losses, we don't have any million of losses. When you speak about the territories, maybe some territories and etc., it's not just territory, it's houses. It's people's lives, their fathers, mother, their relatives, grandfather, they died during this war. Nobody wants to forgive Putin. It's not funny, or fairy tale. This is real life. That's what I said. And when you said it, a lot of times to my big friends, we've been here today in our dialogue, and then they
hard to understand what he's saying sometimes.
The same things. I think it's not. That's why I said it.
Look, here's the deal, though. It's a war, buddy. You've also killed some people. You've killed some Russian people. You guys both need to find a way past this issue, where you're both well, I mean, they killed people, so I'm not going to negotiate with them. It's not how things work, I think there's a way forward here. I mean, look, we've had 2 Koreas for a long time now, and they seem to be, one of them's okay. The other one, I don't know. I feel like there's a way forward, possibly. I don't think. I mean, obviously there won't be any news till Monday because again, World War III is looming. Why work through the weekend? Doesn't make any sense, right? But show up to those tea times. Heads of state / high up government, European Union type people, and they all have the same message here on X. About the clash with Trump and Zelensky. You are never alone. It reads, your dignity honors the bravery of the Ukrainian people. Be strong, be brave, be fearless. You are never alone, dear President Zelensky. We will continue working with you for a just and lasting peace. And they all say the same thing. We got Ursula von der Leyen. She's an EU person. Roberta Metsola, EU president. Antonio Costa, or EP president. I'm assuming that's European Union, possibly. EU co-president. Vladis Dombrovskis. I have no idea who he is. I'm assuming. I mean, he's got the EU flag behind him in his picture. So I'm assuming he's probably EU as well. I don't know. Could be a setup. Could be a setup. Now, why might President Trump want to take over the headlines? Well, if you've been watching Afternoon Coffee, you would probably know why. This is Ian Carroll. He's a good independent journalist lately. It says actual footage of me fighting Zelensky garbage to keep the Epstein disclosure on the timeline today. That's what it feels like. It kind of feels like this is taking over the news headlines, and we were very close to getting the Epstein story to kind of be the story that everyone cares about. It was feeling like that was coming, and then all of a sudden, big dust up on Friday, right? And now that's all anyone's gonna think about for the whole weekend, and by Monday, Epstein will be old news. Done, gone. No one will think about it, probably, except for this guy Ian Carroll and I don't know, Afternoon Coffee, DT, possibly. I'll just say that he's talking about how Epstein is not intelligence related. He talks about a very specific intelligence agency, one that's not ours, one that may be in the Middle East, in the Holy Land. And you'll draw your own conclusions from that. Everyone thinks Epstein was intelligence related in some way, shape, or form. Anyone who knows anything, that's the only. How else do you explain where he got his money from? It's got to be black books. I mean, he was like a wealth manager, but he wouldn't. I mean, he had billions and billions and billions. He didn't charge enough, I don't think, to get that much. So there's a lot of discrepancy with where his money. If you follow the money, I feel like that's where you're gonna eventually get to intelligence agency with Jeffrey Epstein.
Felon. They kept saying convicted felon, convicted felon, and everybody knows what it is.
Yes,
it's terrifying.
Yeah,
it's terrifying they could do it so brazenly to a guy who was the president for 4 years.
Right. That lawsuit was funded by Reid Hoffman, who is a major Dem donor, and also an Epstein client.
Now, did he just throw that in? Like, is he just talking about
the plot thickens?
The plot thickens. Jesus Christ.
Yes.
It's just, it's so blatant. It's like so obvious. The SpaceX lawsuit, the Trump stuff, it's so obvious.
Yes. Like known Epstein clients who are obviously extremely powerful, they're powerful politically and very wealthy.
This is from yesterday.
Are Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and Reid Hoffman, and some others too, but those three. So, why was Reid Hoffman so intent on destroying Trump?
Do you think it's because they're worried about the list coming out?
Yeah, one of the reasons.
I don't think there is a list anymore.
Yeah,
I think it's gone.
So,
I mean, I'm like, this is, so.
It's so frustrating to be sitting in a situation where the list isn't coming out.
Well, it better come out, hopefully tomorrow.
Well, I mean, why'd they release bullshit today?
I don't know.
What's the point in giving these people like a happy folder to wave around in front of the camera with nothing in it that's new? It doesn't make any sense. It's not encouraging.
Expose them as the shills
like I said,
that they are, as the propaganda grifters they are.
The tough thing that they've got is, they've been made captain of a ship with a hostile crew.
Right.
So they
probably
don't
some
have
truth to that.
It's not like you have like magical powers. You get made captain of a ship with a hostile crew. You still have a hostile crew.
Right.
You've got to bring in people who are going to...
He's talking about AG Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel when he says they are
like I said, it's the tough thing that they've got is, they've been made captain of a ship with a hostile crew.
There you go.
Right.
There you go. Just wanted to throw this out there. CNN fake news? I don't know. AI? Possibly, maybe. Potentially. So, like Alex Jones said all those years ago, there's a war on for your mind, and there truly is. Is the world a stage and we're just the sitting audience, confused, not really knowing what's going on? Possibly. I mean, I don't think it's a far stretch at all to connect this whole kerfluffle in the Oval Office yesterday and the Epstein thing. It just kind of seems a little too coincidental. I don't know. But that would be a conspiracy theory. We're in the time of conspiracy theories. Baby, do you believe in nightmares, Jack Sparrow? 'Cause you're in one. Yeah. Do you believe in conspiracy theories? 'Cause you're in one. So, yeah, the Ukraine thing is coming to a head. I said it last week. I knew it was going to. I mean, they're running out of troops in Ukraine. It's plain and simple. It's math. So they got to have a resolution soon, or Russia is just going to roll over the top. The aftermath from that whole thing yesterday, they were supposed to go to lunch and then come back and sign the rare earth. Also, President Trump kept saying raw earth in that press conference, which is kind of funny. It's rare earth mineral deals. The minerals you need to make computer chips, these AI chips, LLMs, high processing power, quantum computers, that sort of thing, cobalt, palladium, all that stuff. So they were supposed to come back, sign that deal. Did not happen. They kicked President Zelensky out of the White House yesterday after that disaster. And reportedly they gave some interns his lunch, like the Ukrainian envoy's lunch, which is hilarious. And then he went on Fox News later, and I'm assuming he probably flew back to Ukraine today. I would assume. There's going to be a summit on Monday, I believe. Summit Monday, Ukraine. Okay, Zelensky met with Starmer today. You have full backing across the UK. I knew I read something where they were going to meet. My speculation is that this is part of a realignment that are the European nations, if they're still operating in a 20th century mindset, these world leaders, they're still thinking about allies and resources and really nothing else. And if they're still thinking that way, then does it make sense to still be allies with the European Union going forward? What do they have? Do they have oil and gas? Not really. Do they have rare earth minerals in Ukraine? Yeah. Other places? Not really. What do they have? You see where this is going? It's all about the money and power. Now, the developing world has gotten smart lately and has started actually trying to make money off of their resources that they have in their country, their plentiful resources, and charging the first world accordingly. That's been a recent thing, right? When you see that with the BRICS alliances, you saw that with the Belt and Road Initiative with China investing in all these developing countries to kind of get a cut of their resources, right? The new game, the new play is who has puppet states. We're back to the puppet state era. Independent nations are going to go away more and more. We're going to have more and more puppet states because you're going to need to align yourself with a big boy making a lot of money off of this tech stuff in order to survive. Otherwise, you're going to be screwed. We're seeing a drawback from globalism, and we're seeing a bipolar world, I think, forming here. And Europe is going to be like left in the cold. I think they're panicking. Truly, I think they're absolutely panicking. Like, why even bother with if you're Vladimir Putin, President Putin, why even bother with going an inch farther than you already have? You have your cold water port in the Black Sea, and you've very much weakened Ukraine, and you've shown to the world that you are not going to mess around anymore. Don't come any closer, NATO. I'm not messing around. Why do you need to move an inch farther into Europe? Just to gain incredibly ethnically diverse population. Like, if he tried to take over all of Europe, which is what they say that's what the European Union says he is trying to do, take over all of Europe, right? So let's just role play for a second. Do you understand how ethnically diverse Europe is? How diverse the languages are, the religions? Why would Russia want to bring those people, especially now after all the immigration? Why would Russia want to bring those people into their country, government? Why? Give me a reason. Money? They don't have money. Half those countries are broke in Europe. They got screwed in the 2008 financial crisis. Right? Like, European Union almost went broke. So they don't have any money or power. Germany is basically the only one. Germany, France, and the UK are the only ones worth anything as far as like an alliance goes. Everyone else, surviving on handouts at this point and tourism. You got to be fucking kidding me. Andrew Cuomo? Andrew, let me feel you up. Cuomo is back? Are you serious? Is this is a joke, right? This is a joke. Anthony Weiner tried this already. It did not work out for him. He knows that, right? Like, the first question they're going to ask you at a debate is like, did you actually do that to that woman? Wow. These people have egos that could have their own gravity if they were an animate object. Just aimlessly scrolling on stream. That has been the afternoon coffee. This is Saturday, March 1st. March is here. St. Patty's Day. Top of the Irish. Just some updates. No show tomorrow on afternoon coffee. I'm not going to do a show. I have something going on during the day. I will do a Transport Fever 2 live stream at 3 o'clock tomorrow Eastern time. I'm going to try again to do it. If that doesn't work, I may hop on and do afternoon coffee instead. I'm also thinking of doing a little balatro this afternoon, evening. So check out for that. All my socials are to my right. No, that was the wrong hand. That was the right hand. To my right. Follow me, like me, subscribe me, comment me, love me, hate me, whatever you want to do. You know, I'm just here to give you some jokes and some chuckles and to show you how utterly ridiculous and how thin of a facade it truly is out there. This has been DeeTea on Afternoon Coffee on Twitch and YouTube and Rumble. Thank you. Love you. Have a great day.